Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to New Life Live. Steve Arterburn here. Dr. Jill Hubbard is with us. Milan Yerkovich is here. And Milan has asked me not to mention Satan, which I did the last time he was on, so I thought I would avoid...
it's the power of suggestion, Milan. Come on.
Yeah, what's wrong with me? Why did I do that?
Yeah. Anyway, we do believe Satan. Well, I just won't even talk about him. But we think he's real, and boy, is he ever deceptive. Don't you wish Satan, not to talk about Satan, but don't you wish he did have a little pitchfork and red suit and be so obvious?
Yeah,
but
he is
it
very
doesn't
non-obvious.
happen that way. We're glad you're with us today here on New Life. We love getting to do this. And, this is such a great time of the year. I hope that, some of the things that you wanted to do this summer, you got them planned. They get to work out for you there. But I also think that summer is a great time for repair with our kids. Most of us have more time with our kids in the summer, and it is a great repair time. And unlike the era that I was raised in, a lot of folks back then thought the less you told your kids about what you went through or struggles you had, the better. But it really isn't the best thing to do. The more open and honest we can be with them, maybe the more opportunity to connect with them, whatever they're going through. Anyway, if you need some help with your kids, we were just talking about how important it is to have if you're a young teenage boy, sometimes a great young male therapist or older can really turn things around for you when it's somebody that you trust. All right, let's go to our phones here, and how about we go to Jean. Alexandria, Virginia, WAVA is the station. Hi there, Alexandria. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Well, great. I don't know what you're talking into, but it sounds more like a tin can on a string. If you could change that, that'd be good. Yeah, tell us how we could help you today.
Okay, my issue is, I'm sorry, I'm fixing it right now. My issue is, it's my response to people who are in competition with me. Like, for example, my mother and my sister, I shared with them that I was considering writing a book about something that I had experienced. And instead of them being encouraging or whatever, they both went and wrote a little book and had it published. It's almost like they wanted to outdo me. And I've run into that a couple of times with sisters that are in Christ who do the same thing. And I just want to know how I could go through life and not let it upset me as much as it does. I don't know why it does, but it just really sets my hair on fire. So,
well, let me just say this, Olivia. If I had never written, I'm sorry, Jean. If I had never written a book, Jean, and I talked to my sister and mother, and they turned around and wrote one and got it published, I'd be really bugged too. So I think that'd be your reaction. Pretty normal for most people. And so when we come back, we got to find out about this mother and sister, and then we'll help you with that. And really glad that you called. And if you're watching us on YouTube, 1-800-229-3000. If you want to join us on the program, we'd love to talk with you. Anyway, got some great ways of saying thank you for those that support us. We'll tell you about that a little later on. We'll be back after this.
I feel blessed to have had this opportunity for my needs to be met. connecting with other women who are fighting the same fight, hoping for healthy marriages and growing closer to the Lord on their journey.
My name is Shelly Martinkus, and I want to personally invite you to the Restore Workshop. If you have been affected by betrayal, it might be that your husband has been looking at pornography, it might be an emotional, physical affair. I would love for you to come join us.
I feel encouraged and hopeful that even in my struggle, I am enough.
You will leave with hope, with a community of sisters ready to support you, and you will also leave with tools to move you forward on this journey.
Through the sharing in our small group, I realize that I am not alone.
Please don't hesitate. Pick up the phone, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I would love to see you there.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, June 25th through the 27th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. We're talking with Jean. Interesting, well, hurtful, I think. Relationship there with mom and sis. Milan, Jill, you want to talk to her about that a little bit?
Well, Jean, it's always difficult when we are in relationship with envious people. And people that are highly competitive often have, and especially amongst women, and I don't know, guys, I don't know if you always see it in women, but women feel it from women. And when there's this envy, that is not a safe person. Mm-hmm. And it's important that we have some safe women in our lives that are in our corner, that can be joyous over our successes and not see it as a threat to them. Because, see, envious people, it's like there's only so much good to go around, and if you've got it, then I can't have it. And so then they want to take it from you and knock you down so that they feel better. And that's quite toxic.
Really is.
Well,
I think it's hard to find people in this day and age that are really happy for someone else to succeed. I was thinking back when last weekend, Phil Mickelson at age 50 wins the PGA Championship, and at 50, oldest man to ever win a major tournament. But I think it was one of those rare cases where it just felt like everybody was happy for him. Mm-hmm. Versus when somebody else wins the tournament, it feels like some people are going, oh, I can't believe that jerk won or whatever. Mm-hmm. But this was one of those rare occasions where it just seemed like everybody was for him. I think we live in a society where we tend to be so competitive that it's hard for us to be happy for others. But when it comes home, I think that's a really different situation.
Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah, and just to say that, Steve, and I think there is this trend that, you know, nobody should be allowed to be more successful than someone else, or somehow there's, you know, they're, again, taking something away from the good that's out there. And when we find it in ourselves, when we become envious, what, you know, the old saying is the antidote for envy is gratitude. And we have to look at the fact that, okay, envy tells us what we want. So instead of trying to take it from someone else as if there's limited supply, we need to turn around and say, okay, well, what do I want in my life? I want to be happy for them. And then first I can look at, okay, this tells me something about my life. And then also looking at what we are grateful for, because then that will neutralize the envy.
Milan, you have a thought here about this?
So,
Jean.
Oh, go ahead.
Hey, Jean, I have a question for you because...
So how do I respond?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jean.
Go ahead.
No, I was wondering, how do I respond to that? Because I've experienced that with my mother and sister. I've experienced that with three sisters in Christ, and it just drives me away from them because I'm not competing with them. It's just...
So, Jean, that's my question to you. See, you asked that question. That was your first question. What do I do with my response And why is my response so strong? It sets my hair on fire. And you're saying, what do I do with me? Now, I have a question for you. Do you have a history of not being seen by your family? Do you have a history of being ignored or abandoned?
Yes.
Okay. Can you give me a few moments of explanation for that?
I'm the oldest, and I have 3 siblings, and I have a different father than my 3 siblings, and I didn't know why, but I would always feel separate from them when we were introduced as, these are so-and-so's kids, and I was just in the background.
Got it. So when somebody shoves you into the background, hey, I'm going to write a book, and your sister and your mother shove you into the background, what that's doing to you, Jean, is it's pulling up all those old memories. It's triggering you into a place of pain. And I love your self-observation skills. You said, it sets my hair on fire. That flame that rises up inside of you is from the pain of being dismissed, not seen, shoved to the side, abandoned, neglected, ignored. And that's why you're susceptible to anybody who then steps in front of you and pushes you to the back. Now, how do we work on that? First of all, I'm really sad and sorry that that happened to you, that you felt singled out, you were the oldest, and then you were labeled as being the child of somebody else and therefore separated from your family. I'm so sorry that happened. But the more you're able to grieve and be angry at that and to look back and to make that your focal point of why this hurts so much, they're simply repeating in the present what happened to me in the past, and it's very painful. And that's where working on that through grief work, even somatic work of where am I holding this in my body, as well as anger to the past, not necessarily to the present, but anger, realizing there's a good reason, Jean, why you feel that way. It's a bad reason, but it's valid reason is maybe a better way to say it. It makes sense that your hair would be set on fire if somebody shoves you to the back and gets in front of you.
And I really feel for you that you were introduced the way you were and then hurt over and over again by being pushed aside. I just want to take a moment to tell people, if you have a blended family, if you have adopted kids, if you got 7 different husbands, produce 7 different children, here is the way parents need to introduce children. You do it this way. It's very technical. Listen, especially when it's blended and all these other things are combined. It can be confusing. Here's the way you do it. These are my kids. That's how you do it. These are my kids. We don't need to differentiate anything else. It might not even be their business. But I'll tell you, your kids are listening. And if you have some need to separate out because this one is biologically from here and that one there, what a mistake that is. And if you get to know somebody, they're going to know those things anyway. And here's an example of a person as an adult looking back and saying, and I always felt like when we were introduced, I was kind of left out. I was pushed aside. I was different than the others. So it's a great, great lesson. Now, Jean, here's the question. At some point, you're going to have to become the person that accepts these people as mean or inappropriate or destructive. And not only are you going to have to accept that, but you're going to have to expect it. And I think when you can accept them, that this is who they are, they will never be different. And then you can kind of expect that that's the way they're going to be. No longer will you be telling them things you're going to do you're just going to go do them. And then maybe you can even reach this point I call amused detachment, where you can be so healed and so whole that when they do something that before would just set your hair on fire, now you just are kind of amused by it. Look at them. Look at them doing what they've always done. They haven't grown. That's just what they do. And I bet that's really frustrating when they do it and it doesn't push any button I have, because I got rid of all my buttons. Boy, that'd be a great place to be, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And you can get there.
Yeah.
Take some work,
Okay.
but you could do it. But, man, I wouldn't expect anything but very little things from these little people. And I just have no idea why they are the way they are. It's very sad that they are the way they are.
I love Jean's question.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
she really is coming in with she says, what can I do? You know?
Yeah.
And that's really wonderful when a person says, what can I do?
Yeah.
How can I work on me?
Right.
And I wish more people would ask that question, because a lot of people are saying, how can I fix them or change them or stop that? I love it, Jean. Keep up the good work.
And I just hope you don't ever, Gene, become like me, where I would reach a point where I would go to them and say, well, my new interest is painting. And I had no interest in painting, but I just threw it out there to see if they'd go buy a set of watercolors, and then I would just
I think that would
laugh
be
at
kind of
them.
funny.
And then,
Or
after
my new
that,
interest is skydiving,
yeah, there you go. Yeah,
That's a good one, Jill.
bungee jumping.
well, I tell you, jumping out of those planes, that's really the way to go there. But
because
see,
you're no
Gene,
longer looking for their approval, right?
But see, Gene, how you can kind of be amused by some of this stuff. That's
Yeah.
what I would love to see you be all the time, whether you're talking with us on radio or not. Okay?
Okay. All right.
And
All right.
I can't believe how hard they work,
no
at
kidding.
keeping one step ahead of you. You must be something else.
Yeah. All right. So let me send you Healing is a Choice. I hope that's going to help you with some of this. Anything else you guys think? Well, let's do How We Love, because, man, I'd love to see what that attachment style. Is there a mean attachment style, Milan? I forget. I don't know if that's in the appendix or whatever.
mean.
But, man, yeah, I see how you're attaching meanly to other people. Anyway, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you need some help, you need a resource, we really do want to help you with that. Especially if you hear a story like Gene's telling and you think, I tell you, I'm just like that mean mother. Don't be that way. There is help available for you. All right, let's go to Olivia, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And she listens to us online. Olivia, how are you today? What's going on?
Thank you for taking my call. Bottom line, I have 2 adult daughters. One lives 10 minutes away, has two girls, my granddaughters. Another lives out of state. She's single.
Okay.
They have both canceled me and blocked me on the phone, and it's particularly painful today because today is my granddaughter's first birthday, and I've not been allowed to see her in person since September. And this all stems from when lockdown hit. That daughter was pregnant. It was very traumatic, very scary. She didn't know if she was going to have to deliver the baby alone or whatever because of the COVID issues. But I became more politically educated, shall I say, after the lockdown. I had a lot of time on my hands, and I had prior to that never been interested at all, just kind of voted conservative, and that was it. Well, I really began to see that things were not adding up. Things that we were being told, mainstream media.
Okay,
so on and so
just
forth,
avoid all of the political things that you learn. Were you in disagreement over some things, or did it cause you to spend less time and less? How did that affect your relationship? What did you do?
I think prior to that, I thought we were on the same page, and I didn't know that both of my daughters were very liberal and progressive in their politics. We just never really talked about it. So I shared with them that I had opened a Twitter account, something I'd never done before. I don't express my views on Facebook because that's, to me, friends and family, and no one signed up for that when they friend me.
And why was that so? Why was that so offensive? Why was that so offensive to them?
I think because they just had. I didn't understand how polar opposite we were politically and ideologically, and as far as how we related to what was going on with COVID. And I think too, there were things that I found out that I would then try to kind of warn them about or alert them to, and they were offended by that. Then they found out that there were other family members, one in particular that had.
All right, hold on. We'll try to help you with this right after this.
After I found the pornography on the internet, I said, you either get help or I have to leave this household.
Every day, thousands of women discover their husband is struggling with sexual integrity. And since shelter-in-place orders have gone into effect, traffic to porn sites has skyrocketed. New Life's Every Man's Battle workshop can help.
I believed that I could do it on my own. I just believed if I tried hard enough and pulled myself up hard enough by my bootstraps, I could do it. It was a battle that I'd had all my life. I had to get help.
The Every Man's Battle workshop can be a trip to the sexual addiction emergency room. During this time of social distancing, the Every Man's Battle workshop will be held online May 1st. Find sexual integrity, accountability, and connection. Register now to reserve a place at the Every Man's Battle online workshop. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
The single most helpful thing was to realize that I wasn't the weirdest guy on the planet.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEWLIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. It is a complex, difficult world we live in. Cancel culture, that's really something. And when we bring that to just not let somebody that loves our children be with them, when it's so extreme that we have to say, well, she's not going to come see these kids, you got to wonder what's really going on there. Olivia, I'll just ask this quick question. Aside from all of this, were there problems with you and before this that, this might have been the straw that broke the camel's back or something? What else is involved in this relationship?
Yeah, I think so. Well, it is complicated because I had two daughters and I was widowed. Both of these daughters' fathers died. So I had one daughter. After a couple of years of marriage, he died. I remarried, wonderful man. 6 years later, he died. So these little girls, one had lost two and one lost, one maybe they didn't remember everything. So I remarried 20-something years ago. And the gentleman that I married had no children but we recently realized he's very mild on the spectrum. And so emotionally that my kids have been through trauma, and I understand that. So there's been issues, there's been mental health issues, there's been issues, but we were in a pretty good, we'd been on a pretty good trajectory for several years. But what this did was opened up such a can of worms, because I think perhaps there was a security in me just not really being, I don't know. There was some kind of security in me being a certain way, and when I changed and got more educated, I suppose that was threatening to them. But it's so vast, because I realize now we're on opposite ends regarding abortion. I did not know that. Regarding immigration, regarding vaccine safety.
Okay,
it's just opened up.
But it's still a bit mysterious to me that these issues cause them to say you can't be with your grandchild on her first birthday.
Yeah, versus saying we don't want to hear any of this anymore, and we don't want to be with you if you're going to talk this way.
Yeah.
Right? You could set a boundary that way, but
Correct.
this
That'd
is
be
more
reasonable.
extreme.
Yes,
this is tough to understand.
They requested, that I not discuss certain things, and I respected that. But what infuriated them is that because I would continue to just post my opinions on my anonymous Twitter, but only known to my family members, apparently people were screenshotting and sending them things. And so it was almost like whether so that was it. But holidays, birthdays have all gone by, and their take on it really is that I am so toxic, I guess, that I cannot be around these children, nor can my husband. They will not let my husband. And so the other day, I just was absolutely desperate after months and months. And can I add this, throw this in? Last summer, I lost both my mother and my father in a 7-week time period. Wow. And my children did not reach out to me with any kind of, consolation after that. It is, I don't recognize these people. So when I went over, and I've tried to talk to them, and they've asked me, one day I just showed up on the door last week, and I said, I just need to talk. And they basically said if I would just shut down all my social media, or the Gab and Twitter, which I did, but it's just been crickets, absolute crickets. So it's and then the thing was, you were a very bad parent. You were not a good parent. And we've already, I have rehashed things through, I've tried to be humble and apologize. This has been going on. Anytime there's a mistake that was made, I own it, I apologize, I ask forgiveness. But it's like the rap sheet keeps getting longer and longer and longer.
All
and no
right.
matter what I do, it doesn't seem to satisfy them.
Okay. So, well, I'm glad that you shut down the Twitter stuff. I wish that it happened earlier, and then maybe they would have responded to that. So let's really try to give her. This is a very unique situation. I want to try to give you some good help here. I want to say this, Olivia. You're going to have to resign from one thing, and I've had to do this myself, so I know how hard it is. But when I went through a divorce, I spent a lot of wasted time making people think, or trying to get people to think I was the good guy. I wasn't the one with the big problem. And that just was really unnecessary. And you're going to need to resign from needing people to hear what you have to say and think that you were right and they were wrong. Because it's more than they just canceled you. They've got some anger, some resentment from childhood, a lot of things so far more important than your views, your political views. It's just tapping into all of that. And I think they're trying to get your attention. And when you continue to do the stuff, I think it was just evidence to them. She is not paying attention to us still. I really feel for you, because I think you've got all some great ideas and views and things, but it's really hurting you with them and hurting you with your grandkids. So we'll talk about that some more. Try to give you some help right after this. I'm really glad that you called us. We'll be back.
I came into this thinking that my husband was the cause of many of our issues.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C., July 23rd to the 25th.
But after learning about our attachment styles, I understood how our past hurts were playing into our present problems.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Milan Yerkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship. And then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
And New Life's group counselors will help you focus on the area that will benefit your marriage most. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Here at this workshop, we had our first ever conversation without yelling, blaming, and accusing.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the 8 books in the Arterburn Wellness series, including Understanding and Loving a Person with Depression and Understanding and Loving a Person with Alcohol and Drug Addiction. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. All right, Olivia, so we want to give you some help here, and I'm going to ask Jill any other insights here for Olivia with being canceled by 2 adult daughters.
Yeah, I mean, I feel very sad for you, Olivia. So I think, though, it's important that you do a little soul searching. And I think it's a time where it's important for you to own your part. I mean, these daughters are so mad at you that they are completely cutting you off. That's a very extreme response. So I think you have to look at that. Why would they have such an extreme response? And I can blame them and their politics, or I can look at their stepdad, but you also have to look at you and to say, okay, girls, I want to hear from you, and maybe you might have to do it in writing. Obviously, I've been oblivious to things. I didn't realize we were so different. And I realized that maybe I have some blind spots, some intolerance on my side, and that I've been missing something in you that's really important. And so I'm laying down my pen, I'm laying down my views, and I want to hear what you have to say. I want to get behind your eyes and see what our life has been like from your perspective. And would you give me the opportunity?
I've actually done that on numerous occasions. I have written, I have apologized, I have sat and listened to them, and just said, it's always been an open door policy of tell me what this is. And so this is what I'm saying. I have exhausted everything I know to do. I have written apologies. I have, dialogue with them. I have sit and listen. I've asked to go to family counseling with them. They've refused to do that. I mean, they've asked me to distance myself from certain other family members. I have done that. And each thing that I comply with, there's a new demand. And then I do the new demand, and then there's still no resolution. But I felt that once I repeatedly have asked, I will go to the therapist of your choice, and you are more important, and I have taken ownership. I have asked forgiveness dozens of times and sat and listened and felt their pain with them. And this is what I'm saying. It's when you finally get to the point where you ask to go to counseling with someone and they refuse, I don't know what else to do. And you write letters and you write emails and you apologize. I do not know what else to do.
Let me tell you what you do. You don't tell them that you'll go to any therapist that they pick, or that you'll get involved in any kind of family counseling with them. You tell them, I have finally come to see I've got some work to do, and I'm going to get some help. I'm going to work on me, and I'll let you know how that goes. And I'm hoping that the insights that I have, the repair work that I do on me, allows you to reconnect with me at some point. I think an adult daughter might be thinking, I don't want to tell my mother where to go to therapy. I want her to want to get therapy on her own. I don't want to be in therapy with her. I want her to develop some insight. I don't want to connect with her in therapy until she develops that insight. I'm thinking that might be the way to go. Milan, final comment from you?
Well, my final comment is, Olivia, this is very difficult, and I'm very sorry you're going through this, and I'm sorry you lost your first two husbands.
Yeah.
What was the length of time between your second husband's passing and then you married the person you're married to now? How long a time gap was that?
I think that was about 2 years.
Okay.
And can I express too, I have been in counseling for years and years, and I've gone to support groups, I've gone to therapy things, I've gone to family programs. So it's not that and recently I've been in counseling, and so that's what the recommendation was. The next step was go to family counseling, but they've refused. So it's not that I have not had counseling or worked on myself. I have for years and years.
Good.
And even now through this.
That's good.
Good.
Okay.
So
yeah, it was just a couple of years between that.
Okay. That helps.
Last death and the remarriage.
Okay.
Yes.
So that helps to understand just a little bit. So one of the best talks I've heard in a long time was from Kay Warren, who did a talk on blind spots. And she realized that, and this is her public testimony, so I'm not saying anything that is not, that's confidential. She said, I realized a lot of people on staff, a lot of people at the church had fear and reactions toward her. And so she spent a year asking people and asking the Lord to show her. And she asked everybody on the staff, what's it like to be on the other side of me? And she had to hear all their responses. And she took a year to investigate, what's it like to be on the other side of me? What do you feel when I walk in a room? What do you feel when my name comes up? What do you feel when I leave the room? And what feelings do I evoke in you? And you can get that talk at Saddleback Church and in the archives, but it's called Blind Spots. It was really one of the best talks I've heard in a long time from anybody, and her vulnerability, transparency to the audience was amazing to me. And so I think in the spirit of that, I would want to pursue and continue in that direction of, it's not just going to counseling. And I'm going to say something that may sound harsh here, but Olivia, two things. Number one, your daughters don't like you. They're pushing you away. Well, what is it about you that is causing them to do that? That is something you have to wrestle with. Would they want to be your adult friend? And it sounds as though the answer is no. Number two, all of us, you, Olivia, me, your girls, have to learn to tolerate difference in people. I have a lot of friends that have different political, philosophical, and religious views than I have, but they're friends, and I can be with them, and I don't have to make everything a litmus test of loyalty that you have to agree with me in order to be my friend. So those would be some things that I would add to this discussion, and I do empathize with you, Olivia, that this is a tough place to be, but I would go to school on this and just say, I've been to counseling, but what do you feel around me, and even asking other people. So that would be my thought, and I empathize deeply, Olivia. Yeah.
I'll send you How We Love. It's going to help you see that attachment. The other thing is, if you've been going to a counselor for a long time and it hasn't helped you reconnect, you might even say, I'm going to try a different kind of counseling, or I'm going to start going to a different counselor. That might really, because you can use I've been going to counseling as a defense. Well, see, I've worked out all my stuff because I've been in counseling for so long. And you just don't want, man, I want you back with the grandkids. That's what I want for you. And I want you reconnected with your daughters. All right, How We Love, I'll send it to you. Really sorry for what you're going through there. Larry Sonnenberg's in the studio. Hey, Larry, how are you?
Hey, Steve. Doing good, thanks.
Man, I tell you, I'm never going to ask people what it's like after I leave the room. But anyway, how could we...
I've done it for you, Steve. That's okay.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for that report. How can people help us here? We do need some help here going into the summer.
Yeah, well, you know what? We're closing up on this match. This is a recorded program. This is Thursday, but we recorded this on Monday. And on Monday, we needed $77,000 by next Monday. And I don't know if we've got there yet. We may have. We may be celebrating. But we may be $50,000 short or $30,000 short or $200 short. I don't know. I just want to ask if you would consider helping us reach that end, that matching gift. That'd be really helpful. And real briefly, a word of why you might want to consider, maybe for the first time, dipping into Help New Life. A testimony quickly. This person wrote, this is about our marriage workshop, and this is a good promotion. I wish I would have attended this program years ago. If we would have attended, we would have had a healthy marriage before the storm we lived in for years. Words cannot express the gratitude I feel for this weekend. So often we hear of all the changes after all the turmoil, but maybe you want to come to this to prevent the turmoil. So thank you everybody who's giving and who's thinking of giving and who will pick up that 100-pound phone and give today. We really appreciate it.
1-800-NEW-LIFE, that's the number. You can help us and send you a copy of Dave Stoops' book, You Are What You Think. We'll take a break and come right back for more of New Life Live. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly. and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
So many don't. All right, we're back. Steve Arterburn here. Let's go to Gwen, Washington, D.C., WAVA. Gwen, how are you today?
I'm well. How are you folks doing?
Great. What's on your mind today?
Yes, my question is, I'm a widow, and the couple that my husband and I were close to for years in church, the wife, who was my very close friend, she died last year. And consequently, I've felt like, well, I really should call her husband every day and just, hey, how you doing, etc. He's old enough to be my dad, basically. And most of the time it's okay. It's kind of news, sports, weather, chat. Sometimes he opens his heart to me like, how are we supposed to do this? Which is like just one day at a time. We got to keep plugging forward. The problem is, I know there has been drinking issues in the past with him, and he's drinking not all the time, but particularly on the weekends. And when he calls me and he's drinking, I just want to run for the hills. I think I'm an avoider, having read Milan and Kay's book. And how do I respectfully get out of a conversation when he's drinking?
Okay, and you're married, is that right?
I'm widowed, and
You're
he
widowed.
is now widowed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
If my
wish...
husband was alive, I would phone over him and go, you handle this.
Right.
Well, I wish there was someone that you could contact who could be a real friend to him and say, "Hey, let's go to a recovery meeting together." Invite him to do something other than just be there and drink. I don't think that that's you that would be the person to do that. Let's hear from Milan and Jill. See what they're thinking. I'm glad you are there for him, though.
Well, Gwen, one of the things that people who know people who drink, like a lot of times people who drink in the evening, and you being an avoider, people often just avoid calls at the times of day where the person they know will probably be drinking. So that doesn't solve it. That just, helps you to maybe set a boundary that I'm not going to talk to him when he's been drinking. But when you talk to him during the week, I'm wondering, do you ever bring up the topic of his loneliness and how hard in the grief process, he's used to having his wife and your friend for probably a long time. And the weekends can be especially long for people who are alone. I don't know if you feel this way. And just talk to him about what that's like for him when there's less going on the weekends, and maybe even looking at, would there be some ways to break up the weekends? And I think too, as a friend, you can lovingly say, I've noticed that when I'm talking to you on the weekends, it seems like you've been drinking. Tell me about how it gets unbearable on the weekends.
Okay, there's a question I can answer.
Yeah. Here's another thing. I just was reading this weekend. They did this, God's word wasn't good enough, but they did this research project to find out what makes the most people the most happy. And when you are trying to help someone else be happy, you are the happiest. Or when you're trying to help someone else grow or enrich their life, you grow and you enrich your life more. Kind of what it says in the Bible. Milan, any thoughts for her helping this man that he really does need help?
Well, Gwen, I think there is a risk at calling him daily to caretake him. or to see how he's doing, or to check in on him. You have to ask yourself, how's he going to interpret that? What's he going to do with it? And what's that doing between the two of you? Is that the message that you do want to send to him, that I'm trying to make sure you're okay? And if you call him daily, you're creating a bonding experience. And you have to ask yourself, do I want to bond with him at that level? And do I know what I'm doing here? That is, am I calling him for me? Is it because it's comforting? Or am I calling him for him? And why am I doing this? But what happens is you set up an expectation that we are going to talk every day. And you're my new BFF. And maybe you are. But I would ask you to just think that through. And then per Jill's ideas, I would ask him on a day he's not drinking, and I would say to him, it really bothers me when you call me on the weekends and I can tell you've been drinking. And to be able to share your feelings, this really bothers me. I want to run to the hills, like you said. I just want to get out of Dodge. And then I would not be shy in saying that. And that's hard for an avoider, to be confrontive. But I would suggest that you consider doing that.
Okay, and also he was a decorated general and he's old enough to be my dad. It's really scary, but I see your point. As to calling him every day, is it okay? He's literally told me, boy, I'm glad you're checking on me because they could just find me dead. Nobody would know, which is unfortunately true.
Well,
and that's
go ahead, Jill.
Who else is in his world?
Right.
I think that's important to start getting him to branch out, because that's part of loss, right? You don't just want to stay home all by yourself for the rest of your life. He's got to add other people in, even if that wasn't what he wanted in life. And that's where maybe getting him into a grief group. And suggesting that he widen his circle a bit, because that's part of the recovery from grief.
One of the most powerful, helpful questions that I hate anybody asking me when I complain about something. My wife taught this to me. Like when kids have problems and all this, you ask the child, what are you going to do about that? It's just, so what are you going to do about that? And when he says they just might find me alone, dead, I think a question of, hey, what are you going to do about that? That's not a good way to live. Let's talk about what you could do.
That's really good, Steve, because otherwise he's putting the fear in you, right?
Yeah,
so then you're anxious, like I'm keeping him alive. And so he's deferring his responsibility, and you want to hand it back to him. So I love that, Steve. What are you going to do about that? That's not a good place to be in.
Yeah. All right. I'm really glad you called. I'm going to send you Take Your Life Back. I hope you like it. Sorry I didn't get to everybody's call. We do have an 800 number, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you need some help, we're right there all the time. And I do hope and pray that you would think about coming and joining our Every Man's Battle Intensive. It's the next one coming down the way here on June the 12th. I've said it many, many times that a guy goes from feeling like I'm just a bad little boy, doing bad things, trying to hide it, to feeling like I am a competent and capable man who doesn't need to do things in secret and in private. I was just reading in Scripture how we can become so blinded by the dark, not the light, blinded by the darkness. We can get so far into the darkness. But there's always a way out. We'll help you find it if you call us at 1-800-NEWLIFE, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Thank you, Milan Yerkovich. Thank you, Dr. Jill Hubbard. Thanks to all of you who support us, watch us, pray for us. We're so grateful. See you next time.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.